Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. JJ here, and I will show you how to fix the common problem when deploying an SSR or a server-side rendered web application in AWS Amplify. So AWS Amplify is, a no-code deployment service offered by AWS, which help us easily deploy a Node.js application as an example. However, there is a usual or common problem that a developer always encounter, wherein when they deploy a web app, especially if it is uses an SSR framework such as Next.js, it is not either not building successfully, there's always an error, or sometimes, even though the build is successful, when you open a link like this one, it's either it says it's not deployed successfully or 404. That's the common problem when you deploy a web app with SSR framework like using Next.js. Anyway, for those of you that is not familiar with Next.js, Next.js is an open source development framework created by Vercel, which enables React-based web application to be rendered in server side and generate a static website for displaying it in a web or in internet. So with no further ado, let's start. So now I'm going to show you the application that I'm having trouble with. So for example, this is the repository that I'm planning to deploy. So this is the code, and then what's happening now is this is an SSR framework. So now I'm having trouble when I'm trying to deploy this in the Amplify. So when I click this, the branch URL, it is showing me this one. It's or sometimes it's 404. One of the reasons why it is not showing is this one. As you can see here, if you take a look at the framework, it only says here that it is web. So for Amplify to be able to deploy your application, Amplify should be able to detect that your code or your application is an SSR framework. So that's the first thing you need to make sure of that. And then second thing, usually this is the more common reason is the service role. As you can see, the service role here is blank. So by default, when you created a web app, the service role is always empty unless you define it somewhere when you are trying to configure your application. But when you just, quickly uh, set up your application, usually this is blank. So those two are the common reason why there is an error when you are trying to deploy your web application in AWS Amplify. Let's start fixing this service role because this is the easiest one. Okay, so what you need to do is once you successfully, created this web app deployment in AWS Amplify, just go to the general and then here you can click the edit. So let's click edit. And then now as you can see, now in the service role, you are now allowed to given a way to choose a role. This is a IAM role that will give your AWS amplifier this application to deploy the backend, like deploying the like setting up the S3 and then also deploying your application to AWS CloudFront. So that is the purpose of setting this role, service role. So if it's your first time, you can just click create new role and then it will navigate you to the creation of your IAM role. So what you just need to do here is make sure that in this screen, in the create role, make sure that the amplify is selected. Usually if you came from this button, uh, the amplify will be automatically selected. and then just click Next. And then in the attach permission, it will automatically suggest to you the administrator access Amplify. So uh, leave it as it is because it will automatically, and then click Next, and then click Next Review. So this is the name of the role, and this is the one that you need to select here once you have successfully created that role. So in my case, I already created the same role. That's why it doesn't allow me to save it anymore, because I already have this role after following the instruction. Let's close this one. So now I'm just going to select that role that I created in the service role. And then now there's two roles actually in my case. So I'm going to select this one. Now after that, just click Save. There you go. Now I have the service role. It allows my Amplify to deploy my application to AWS S3 buckets and also create a CloudFront instance. And then now, the last one is we need to make sure that it display SSR framework. And to do that, it's simple, but we need to run some command line using AWS CLI. So you can just go to this link in the GitHub. This is actually a GitHub that was created for troubleshooting Amplify hosting issue. So here, one of the issue that was mentioned here is about the 404 issue when deploying SSR. So this one. Okay, so what we need to do is just to run these two command line using AWS CLI. Okay, and then if you're not familiar with CLI, AWS CLI, that's fine. There's a lot of tutorial, and just comment in the comment section if you need some tutorial. I can give you some quick tutorial video for that. But in this case, I will assume that you already have AWS CLI installed uh, in your machine. So let's go to terminal. So first thing first is I'm just going to paste the command line that I copied on that GitHub. So what we need to change is this app ID here. So AWS Amplify update app ID. And then to get the app ID, you just go to your AWS Amplify general settings, and your application ID is this one. So it's different. Every hosting has a different ID. In my case, this is the ID. So I'm just going to copy it, go back to my terminal, paste it, and then the region, you need to change the region. So in my case, I am deploying it in Singapore region. So you need the code for Singapore region. So in my case, Singapore region is AP Southeast 1, and then click Enter. Okay, I got an error. Reason behind this is I have multiple profile in my application. So I'm just going to do is just add a profile indicator and indicate what is the profile that I want to use. So it depends if you have multiple profile, then you need to indicate which profile is the one that you are trying to use. So in my case, the profile is this one. Then hit enter. There you go. So this is the setting actually of your Amplify hosting. Now the next thing is, let's copy the next line, which is this one. So don't worry guys, I'm going to give you the link for this GitHub. So no need to post it. I'm just going to just check it in the description or in the comment. So, okay, I'm copying it, the second line, the second command line. Let's clear this. Paste. Oops. Okay. And then now we need to check the app ID. We need to change the app ID. So the app ID, as I mentioned, is this one. And then paste it. And then the next one is the branch name. So in my case, it is a production branch. So it depends on what branch you have defined here. This is the production branch. So it says prod here, production. So that's what I'm going to indicate here. And then the next one is the framework. So here, there's two possible framework actually for Next.js. SSG, but that's static. But what we want is the SSR. So we just need to change it to SSR. And then the region. So same thing. It's Asia Pacific. So is -1. And then my profile. Okay, and hit enter. There you go. Now let's go back to my AWS Amplify and let's refresh this screen. Alright, so as you can see, here in the framework, it says now that it is Next.js SSR. And then now, let's trigger the build. So now I just redeploying the pipeline. And then it might take some time. It depends on the build commands that you indicate in your build setting. So I'm going to post a video and then show to you later the result. Alright, we're back and the build is complete. So as you can see, the provision, build, deploy, and verify are all green. And as you can see here, everything has been built successfully. Now to test again, let's just click this link, the domain. And there you go, the website is now loading. So remember to fix the issue. Make sure that your framework is showing Next.js SSR. And also make sure that you have selected an appropriate service role. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.